Okay, so now that you have your concept and you know what all the scenes in your music videos are going to be about, it's time to go and find locations. Now, locations are just as important in music videos as the actors or the performance in it. Especially since you consider that in music videos there's no dialogue. So really, all you're gonna see is the location and let's say the artist, or if you have a story element, also maybe some actors in it. And visually, you have to be able to tell that whole story. So you want to make sure that you find locations that tell the story for you, or at least a part of the story. They don't always have to be beautiful. They just have to be interesting looking. Also, this way, when you pretty much just point the camera at a good-looking location, then you'll know you'll have good-looking shots. For example, if your music video is going to have a scene inside an apartment, make sure that you find an apartment that has a lot of character in it. Let's say your music video is about a struggling artist who's having financial problems. Well, since you're not going to have any dialogue or anybody in your music video talking, so you can explain to your audience, who this character is. You want to be able to show it right away. Now, of course, you're also going to have your actor dress, or act a certain way. But I think very often the most effective and simplest way to show who your main character is, for example, in a music video, is by showing where he lives. So make sure that this apartment that you find looks like somewhere where a poor starving artist would actually live. Let's say the walls are old. It has some paintings on the walls, art supplies on the table, things like that. It would also be kind of messy, so maybe you kind of dress it down to look that way, or let's say your main character is a photographer, then you would have cameras lying around, and just camera lenses, that kind of stuff, equipment that a photographer would use. Those are the kind of props you would want to put in there, and trust me, you're almost never gonna find a location that right away matches your expectations. So that's when you gotta go in there and dress the set. Many times you can take a boring looking room with white walls and change it around to add some character to it. You can turn off the lights, maybe put a small lamp in the corner somewhere, put up pictures or paintings to break up those big boring white walls. Just do whatever you can to add some character. And another thing to keep in mind is what you think looks like it's too much in real life will usually barely register on camera. So keep in mind that when you're dressing up your sets, you really you want to go one step further. If you want to make it look let's say dirty, you really want to dirty up the walls, because if you just put a little bit of dirt, you're not going to notice all those details on camera, especially with the sort of fast editing that you'll be doing. And the same thing if you want to make the location look really expensive. You want to sort of make it very expensive, sort of maybe a little bit overkill when you look at it in real life. But again, in the music video, it will just look that much better. This way, the whole idea, and the look of the set is gonna register faster, and you might not even have to stay that long on that particular shot in your final edit of the music video. Now, the same applies to props. Let's say you have a scene where a guy proposes to his girlfriend. Well, make sure that the ring that he gives her is really impressive. Well, maybe that's a little overkill, but you know what I mean. It doesn't necessarily have to be big, but it just has to be, if you want it to look like a diamond ring, it has to really sparkle. It has to be, just catch that light in the right way. And so, again, it doesn't have to be a real diamond either. It could be just, a piece of plastic that if you looked at it with your own eyes, maybe you would see that it looks fake. But it as long as it looks good, basically on camera, and it looks impressive, then that's kind of what you want. Because what you got to remember is usually you're going to see that prop or that location for a very short period of time in the actual final music videos, because just the way that music videos are cut. So you want to make sure that even though it is only there maybe for a second or two, it makes an impact on the audience. I remember once I was working on this hip-hop music video, and the artist really just wanted to show off how rich he was. And so he had this idea for a scene where he wanted to throw $100 bills into the air. And he told me the idea, and I said, okay, we can do it, but I think we should prepare for it and just print a lot of fake $100 bills. And I told him, we should probably have like 2,000 or 3,000 of these bills. And he said, no, 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 don't worry about it. I want to get real money. Some people can see it's real money. And I said, well, can you get that many $100 bills? He said, well, no, 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 but I'll get maybe, a few hundred of them. And I don't know how many he got in the end. Maybe it was a few hundred. Maybe it was 50 or 100 of these, $100 bills. But all I remember is when we were actually filming and he threw it up into the air, it didn't look that impressive because there just wasn't enough money sort of falling down. And also on top of that, you couldn't really see whether it was real money or fake money, because it just with the motion blur and everything sort of moving, it's hard to catch those little details. So I really do think that at the end of the day, we would have been it would have been probably better had we had gone with my idea, but instead the artist wanted to throw real money into the air. And actually what ended up happening in the end is, while he was picking up the money, I don't know if somebody on the set or took one of the bills, but basically he was short of $100. So remember, the locations and the props don't have to look great in real life as long as they do the job on camera. And if you're not sure, then just grab a camera and do a test.